This is the Cryptic Creatures Podcast. I am Brian, and with me, as always, is my co-host Todd. What's going on, buddy?
Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
It's been a
Excited
little.
to be back.
Me too. It's been a little bit since we've been behind the mics where we're at tonight. So
Yep, yep, it has been. But we had a fun time, doing
yes, we
some
did.
live stuff. So
Hell yeah, we did. It was awesome.
that was good.
So we're going to bring back another missing episode this
Yes,
time.
missing episode number 2. So this ought to be a good one. A very interesting one.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of homework on this and read up a little bit on this. We're going to talk about Tom Messick tonight.
That's right.
This happened in the Appalachian Mountains again. More northern, I think in New York is where this happened.
Yeah, New York State.
So-
Brant Lake, south of Brant Lake.
Yeah. You can Google it on the maps if you want to. I did, as always.
Yep.
So basically, we're doing this missing episode. We talked about the Dennis Martin case. And now we've got another one that we looked up. And this one's interesting to me, more so than the Dennis Martin case, because this guy was a paratrooper.
Yeah, he was skilled.
This guy had his shit together. He had been hunting all his life, and the weird thing about it was he was out with a group of people, that knew him, and just came missing out of nowhere. Not only did he become missing, but everything that he had on him, his rifle, his walkie-talkie, were gone.
Everything was gone. They never found a trace.
Any of it.
Nope.
It's just weird.
No blood, no nothing.
No blood, no nothing. So, I can paraphrase and read a little bit of this into here so the guests can hear what's going on. November 15th, 2015, Thomas Messick Sr., age 82, an ex-paratrooper, walked into the woods of South Brant Lake in New York State to hunt for deer and was never seen again. No sign of him ever turned up, including a rifle and walkie-talkie, despite a large search of the area. FBI was even involved in the investigation. This is a strange, puzzling hunting disappearance.
Very.
Yeah. They took a trip to Lake George Wild Forest. Tom lived in the city of Troy in New York State and was out that Sunday with a group of 6 friends and family members who were hunting near Lily Pond in an area of the state land that is part of the Lake George Wild Forest. The older members of the group, 4 of them, were watchers in a static position set along a log or a similar comfortable spot, and were in the near vertical line, whilst the younger hunters used the path along the lake to drive the deer to the watchers as part of the drive. Now, I read up on some of this stuff, and basically where they were at was they pulled up on a parking spot. And this is also on Missing 411, if the listeners want to check this out. They parked in a parking spot along a road that was close to a lake, and
Right.
there were 4 older gentlemen. I guess they were all in their 80s. They walked about 100 yards deep into the woods from that road where they parked. And the other 3 or 4 younger, their sons, basically, I think they took ATVs or 4-wheelers and rode up along the ridge line, way up high up on, the mountain, to try to drive deer down to these guys to shoot, is basically what was going on here. And Tom was the farthest one out. So if they parked at said spot and you had a guy that said, okay, well, I'm going to walk 100 yards in from the truck here, the next guy would walk down another 100 yards and then walk in the woods, I believe is what they did. So they were maybe 100 yards apart and 100 yards deep.
And 100 yards in. Yep.
I believe. I can spot check that, but that's kind of the story of what happened. So, after 55 years of hunting with longtime friends, senior men at the Messick's hunting camp, they decided to try this area for the first time. Tom was supposed to stay in one spot as members of the group walked through the woods to push deer toward him. But when they arrived at the location where he was supposed to be, he was gone. Without a trace of him or his belongings, no sign of any deer was found that day. He was wearing duck boots, camouflage pants, a coat, gloves, a red and black check hat that he'd worn for many years. He carried a rifle and a walkie-talkie. None of it was found. Who was Tom Messick? He served in the U.S. Army as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division. He was 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighed about 160 pounds. He was an experienced hunter and woodsman and taught hunter and survival training for many years. Did you catch that? Hunter and survival training for many years. You know,
so he knew what he was doing. I mean, he's no slouch in the woods.
Right. He had some heart problems, lost an eye in an accident with an explosive device in the early 20s. Right. He had poor vision and limited hearing as well. Okay. So he was last seen at 10 a.m. when he did not show up to the agreed upon time where they were done hunting. His friends called the forest rangers and they searched for him from 4:30 until 4:30 p.m. From 4:30 p.m. Until dark around 7 p.m. And at that point, half the group stayed and fired their rifles and honked the car horns to attract Tom to the area. The rest of the men left the scene and reported him missing to the family and authorities. Okay, so let's pause right there and talk about that. Guy goes hunting. He's 82 years old. He's a paratrooper. He served in the Army.
Right.
He taught hunter and survival skills.
Right.
So what's the first thing you think?
It's not like he just wandered off into the woods and got lost and they never found him.
Right.
He knew what he was doing.
Right. So what do you think? I mean, do you think his 3 older buddies who he's known all of his life and they're 80-some years old and then their sons did something to him and killed him and buried him?
No.
Why?
Why would they?
Why would they take?
By all accounts, everybody loved this guy.
All these people were in on killing this guy. Was he that bad of a person?
No.
You know, here's how we're going to get Tom. We're going to take him on a hunting trip, and there's going to be 7 of us going to get involved in this.
Yeah, so there's no way.
This guy comes up missing, and there's nothing left of him. And they search, Brian. They search for him for days.
Yeah.
And they do not find this guy. They can't find this guy. A survival guy. What's up with that?
Well, I mean, it could have been a number of things. We're going to rule out wild animal attack because there was no blood. I mean, all of his stuff would have still been there, scattered around. There would have been shreds of clothing, something to show that he was attacked by a bear or a mountain lion or whatever. But there was nothing there. Could have been abducted by aliens, possibly, but it was daylight and nobody saw anything else or heard anything. So that kind of rules that out. Could it have been
Bigfoot?
Some sort of cryptid creature?
Bigfoot?
Could have been a Sasquatch. Could have been a...
I mean...
That really is the only conclusion you can come to.
Here's what I mean. Just in this brief moment that we're talking about this and what we've laid out here in this episode is for someone like this guy to come up missing like that, being around that many people, being experienced as he was, something happened to him. Right. He didn't just decide, I'm 82. I haven't had sight in one eye for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to disappear.
I'm just going to wander off in the woods and never come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that happening either.
He didn't leave on his own accord. I think you're right. No. He was not attacked by a wild animal per se.
Because they leave traces.
Like a mountain lion or a bear. I think he would have shot his rifle. I think he was taken abruptly, quickly, and surprisingly.
Right. The thing that gets me is all of his stuff went with him.
Yeah, I know.
That's the amazing thing. They never found not even a candy bar wrapper.
Yeah, he had snacks in his coat. They said, an animal would have eaten that.
Yeah. Like I said,
all
that
out
would have
somewhere,
shredded in the ground somewhere. I mean, animals don't throw stuff away in the trash can.
If something would have walked up on him, he would have fired a warning shot. Something that was big enough to take him away. So, I mean, you talk about alien abduction, that's possible. But like you said,
Possible.
they were within 100 yards of each other. Somebody would have heard or seen something.
Seen
You
something.
would think. You would think. You would think. You would think. I'm not ruling it out. But he would have had to have been taken quickly, abruptly, surprisingly,
Oh yeah.
knocked out. But why?
Well, yeah, to be able to not even yell out or fire a shot.
Right. He's just he taught survival, hunting and survival skills. Why would
Right.
he not give a warning? He was totally taken by surprise by whatever
Mm-hmm.
caused his disappearance and had not time to react somehow, some way. Which means he could have been knocked out. Somebody could have snuck
Yeah.
up on him and knocked him out,
Or throwing something and knock him in the head.
or throwing something like a rock and knocked him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that he was knocked out. Why would any people out there in the woods, meandering around, decide to kill an 82-year-old man? What, to take his rifle?
An armed 82-year-old man.
They want to take his rifle and walkie-talkie and pawn it at some pawn shop? Is it worth killing some guy over there? Or maybe a little bit of cash in his wallet? Are people really that deceitful in New York, in upstate New York?
Are there really that many people out wandering around the woods to do that?
Yeah, and why would you be wandering around the woods? Wandering around the woods.
Not like he was sitting on the edge of the woods. He was in the woods.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't even see him from the road.
I mean,
He was that far.
the only logical explanation
And it was 10 a.m. in the morning.
I can think of
So
is he walked and fell into some hole down in some deep cavern or some cave,
I was thinking that maybe sinkhole or something.
and no one noticed it.
But yeah.
And they should look into that. They should go back to there. If I was his kids, but you know, with the search party, you'd think someone would have.
They would have had to have done the grid pattern, right?
I think
For
they
a
did.
search.
I think they did do the grid pattern. I believe.
Yeah. So
I should read more into this. I haven't gotten too much farther, but
I know this one took us by surprise because we were supposed to have a guest and they canceled. So
yeah, it's all right. No big deal.
here we are.
We need
doing
to
this,
do,
talking about-
we've been wanting to do this show, so we're doing this show.
That's right. We've been wanting to
It
talk
says,
about Tom.
It says more than 15 agencies were involved, including the DEC Forest Rangers, Canine Police Unit, police officers, FBI, Quick Response Team, State Police Special Operations Response Team. So they loaded up on this one too, because they knew.
Yeah.
They knew that Tom should not be missing.
At least not without a trace.
The weather was poor with heavy rain, but sniffer dogs were deployed before the worst of the rain arrived. Of course, it was raining. It always is.
Always. Isn't it always raining?
Searchers walked through the woods, no matter how thick they were, including swamps, and checked nearby roads, but there was absolutely nothing. Areas were tied off with a string to box off a specific areas to allow a detailed
So
search of
is it-
every
yeah.
grid zone. It was described as a spider's web of string in the forest. Now, something
Yep.
comes to mind. Call me crazy. What if you decided to climb up some tree to get a better look and spot and got stuck up there, choked, died somehow, and people just didn't happen to look up? Is that possible? An 82-year-old man gonna no. An 82-year-old man is not going to climb a tree. Is
I
he?
mean,
it's said
it
in
could
the-
be possible, but it's not.
these guys weren't
feasible,
walking
really.
in.
I can't. Yeah, no 82-year-old guy with a bum hand and when one eye is going to try and climb a tree.
Yeah, I'm just throwing everything out there. We gotta
know.
question it.
I know.
But it says in the thing that they just kind of like walked in, I think, and kind of sat on tree stumps or just found a spot to, wait.
Right. Yep.
So even if he climbed a tree, he's not going to get high enough to where he's going to get out of view of somebody seeing him laying there dead if he died up in the tree, right? While he was waiting for these deer to come through.
Right.
So that rules that out, right? You agree?
Yeah. Yeah. No 82-year-old man is climbing a tree.
It says areas were tied off with a string to box off specific areas to allow a detailed search of every grid zone. It was described as a spider's web of strings in the forest. So they did do that.
So they did do the big grid pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So
It says, given his age, searchers were baffled. as he could not have gotten far from his original location, and some said it was weird that there were no sounds of wildlife whilst the SAR teams were in operation, almost like something had silenced the woods.
So, and what usually happens when people have a Bigfoot encounter?
It gets very quiet in the woods.
Everything gets very quiet.
Foul play. Abduction. His wife said he'd been in the woods since he was a boy. If he got lost, he would have cut a piece of his jacket and tied it to a tree and done other things he learned. His wife said her greatest fear was that he was the victim of foul play. The only thing I can think of is that maybe someone came in a quad, hurt him, got scared, and drove him out of there. I keep praying.
Yeah, but they would have heard those are not quiet.
I know.
I've driven four-wheelers. They're not quiet.
I know. Not from 100 yards
Somebody
away.
would have heard that.
Right.
Yeah.
I keep praying they'll find him so we have some closure. I keep worrying that I didn't tell him I loved him the last day I saw him alive. So,
although they did talk to one of the guys that was with him. And the quote here says, he said, "I heard a strange noise in the woods, but I don't know what it was. Just a different noise from what I usually hear, you know."
mm-hmm.
So, a grunt, a howl, a growl. It says, and then he says, the interviewer says, like what? And he said, it'd be hard to explain but it was different. Something different than I never heard before in the woods. I just can't say what it was, And then the interviewer says, how long a duration was it? Was it 2 or 3 seconds? And the guy says, no, it's just whatever it is,
He didn't want
And I actually watched this, and the guy talking was very upset when he was saying all this. So, and very dumbfounded. Like he wanted to say, but he couldn't say,
Like he didn't want to relive what he heard, and
right, or he didn't want to come out and say there's a Bigfoot.
Yeah,
because then people would have been like, you're crazy. That's what he looked like when he was on the interview.
Well, I mean, let's say it was a Bigfoot. Let's say it was a couple Bigfoot. Let's say that they threw a rock, hit him in the head, knocked him out, went and checked him out. So they had a rifle because they hate rifles. We know this. We've heard this on plenty of interviews.
Fans of guns.
And they took him and his shit and his rifle. And who knows what they did with him? I don't know. Is that possible?
Because if that is the case, then they knew there were other people there in the woods with him. So of course they're going to be quieter.
Here's the thing. Whatever the reason that Tom Messick came up missing, there was some kind of intelligence involved.
Oh, sure. For sure.
Other than
But
him.
I think we know that Sasquatch are way smarter than people give them credit for.
They are. I mean, it's possible. Mm-hmm. Explain to me what happened then. I mean, you want to talk alien abduction? It's possible that
a
UFO came down and grabbed Tom and took him.
If not a UFO, maybe a portal.
But
if you believe in those,
Tom being Tom, if he was lost, he's smart enough to say, stop. Just stay where you're at. They'll find me.
Right.
If I keep walking, I could take myself farther away from them. If I just stop here,
right.
If I'm disoriented and I walk away, unless some kind of Alzheimer's or something came up on him out of nowhere, which doesn't happen. That's a progressive thing. Where the hell did he go?
Yep. You're right. I mean, he was a very experienced hunter. He was a teacher of hunters, and he would have stayed where he was. Plus, he had a gun, so he would have fired off a round
You're
and
right.
said, "Hey, come find me."
He probably had a fire. He probably had a sidearm on him too, knowing him.
Probably.
I mean, if you're going to leave your family or something like that, if you're going to escape, even at 82 years old, heaven forbid you say, finally, one day I'm done. At 82 years old,
Yeah.
you go on a hunting trip by yourself, don't you?
Especially after going through everything you went through.
You don't go on a hunting trip with 7 other people and then go, oh, I'm just going to collect
No,
myself.
no. You just go, I'm going out for a little while. Maybe I'm going fishing or something.
We're not geniuses to say, oh, foul play is involved here. So it goes back to, could have been human.
Yeah.
How do you
Shit, absolutely could have.
How do you rule out human in this scenario?
But how are they getting out of there so fast without being seen?
I mean, it's possible.
I suppose they could have parked somewhere else and made it out a different way.
I mean, what if somebody was broke down on the road and was like, "Hey, I need some help," and Tom walked out to the road to check him out, and they said, "Hey, let's kill him. Take his gun." Could have been a couple. Could have been a couple escapees. Needed a rifle. Needed a gun to do what they wanted to do. I mean,
yeah, but eventually
we
they
can't
would have
rule
found
this out. We
they
can't
would
rule
have-
this out, right?
Eventually, they would have found that gun if it was human, because it would have turned back up. Especially if it was escapees, they always get caught if they had that gun on them.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking things through here, trying to, I don't want to pinpoint
probable.
that it is.
It's probable.
We're not doing. We don't do these missing cases because we feel like it's because of Bigfoot killed somebody or the Dogman killed somebody. I mean,
right.
But they lead to that. They lead to more of those things, cryptid kind of things.
It really does. I mean, just
you can almost rule out humans to a point.
Really, I mean, to a point you can, because nobody else saw those guys on the road if that was the case. And why would they have just hollered in for Tom? They wouldn't have seen him.
Why is somebody going to pull in there where they were at remotely? He's 100 yards in. 100 yards is not far, but it's far enough to where you're not going to see somebody if they're in the woods necessarily. So, yeah, I really don't see this being. I mean, I see it being more foul play from the family than I do someone just showing up abruptly out of nowhere and going, "Oh, let's kill this guy, take his rifle and his walkie-talkie, and his Snickers bar in his pocket and his $7." Right. So
yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a baffling one. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, it's got to be crazy for his family too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I couldn't even imagine having no closure, wondering what the hell happened to him.
Right.
You know?
Well, like we've said before, Brian, start looking in the deep caves in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's any caves around that area, but yeah.
There are. There's
if somebody carried him off, we know how fast Sasquatch
there
can
are
move.
cave systems up there. Absolutely.
And we know how fast they can move. So,
yeah.
If they got him and moved, they can move miles before anybody could even know he was gone.
So you think they're smart enough to take his rifle with them too?
Oh, sure. Why wouldn't they?
Try to see what the hell it is.
And if they went the complete opposite way of where everybody was searching, why not just take it and dump it in a hole somewhere, a ravine?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just weird to me. This guy being who he was. It's more weird to me than the first missing case we did, obviously because he was a kid. But it just goes to show you. I mean, no matter what you think, who you are, when you go out in these woods and stuff like that, you're vulnerable. You got to be careful.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, because even if it was a person and they got the drop on him and knocked him out and drug him out or whatever.
There were
wild
no
animals
there were no
and
drag. That's another thing too.
anything else.
We forgot to tell the audience at reading through these. There are no drag marks of him being drug away.
Nope.
There was no sign of fight. There was no weird unearthed ground to where he was a struggle.
Right.
It was just like he just wasn't there.
He just disappeared.
He walked to his tree trunk, sat down, and then was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
aliens, I don't know. Bigfoot,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know. This is for you all to listen, get all the facts, and then decide for yourself. What do you think?
Right.
I mean, to us, it's pretty strange. Pretty strange.
Well, for people to come up missing in the Appalachian Mountains period is weird, kind of, sort of, but there's more and more of these things showing up.
Right.
Or the more you look into it, the more we're seeing. So we'll keep this episode rolling as far as the missing thing goes, and keep talking about this stuff. And if anyone has anything out there that they know anything or can share anything about this or have heard anything about this, please do. Please do.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep talking about this. We're not gonna just let this die.
Share on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, all that good stuff. So,
and maybe somebody out there knows something. You know,
maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Like they usually say, you know, when it comes to missing persons, maybe somebody out there knows something.
Maybe. I just don't see his buddies. You know, they were all in their 80s.
Yeah, there's no way everybody, by all accounts, everybody loved that guy. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
So
they interviewed his kid, talked to his kid. I mean, he was one of the pushers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know,
talked to all the guys that were there.
I mean, just imagine the panic.
Just
imagine the panic that you would go through if you know, that was your dad. It's like you're looking for him all night long. You can't find him. Where the hell is he? Where did he go? Why is he so far away from where he should have been? He knew what he was doing. Why did he walk 2, 3, 4 miles away from this place? Because that's where we've searched and we can't find anything. Even if he got disoriented and just walked off, we would have caught up to him somehow, some way. We would have seen footprints, something, some kind of sign. But he was taken right where he sat, or very close to where he sat.
Right.
So that, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a person could have drove up. How would they even seen him in the woods, though? You know, from the road.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way.
And that's a personal. I think they were in a personal hunting ground, so no one should have been there anyway. So,
right. Yeah, it was their camp.
A mountain lion's not going to come grab him, kill him, drag him out.
No, they would have shredded him right there.
They would have seen it. Bear's not going to do that.
No.
Something more intelligent had something to do with this man
and
leaving
strong.
his area with no sign. Yeah. So.
And strong.
If you guys have any comments about it, leave us a message on this.
Yeah, if you want to know, I mean, if you have any ideas, if you're an amateur detective, you can always get us on our email at info@cryptocreatures.co.
Right. This one baffles me. It really does.
It does. I mean, this is a true missing persons mystery. I mean, this is wild.
If we solve one of these cases, if we help solve one of these cases, we're getting somewhere. But, you know,
that'd be awesome.
Like I always said,
at least to give the families some kind of closure. You know,
these missing persons come up in the Appalachian Mountain Range, and we've got to get in there and look at these cave systems, man. We've got to. On that note, we will be done with this episode, and we thank everyone for listening. We appreciate it. If you want to go and check out our Facebook and Instagram page, we are out there. If you want to be a member, you can join our membership now. We have different tiers where you can become a member, get some merchandise and discounts off merchandise and some free episodes. So thanks, Brian, for setting that up, man.
Yeah, no problem. That was fun. At least we got it done and out there.
Hell yeah. So anyway, take care, guys, and we appreciate it. Brian, thanks again.
Right on, man.
Until next episode.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you, man.
See ya.